But the Democratic Party, instead of trying to be Republican light, instead of trying to be Liz Cheney's new best friend, needs to pivot to its progressive wing. It is where the energy is, the Summer Lees of the world, the Bernie Sanders, the AOCs. That is where the energy lies. And that is where the youth are. If you want to get out the youth vote, if you want to inspire Generation Z and Generation A when they come of age to hit the polls, it's time to stop being so doggone corporate and sell out Democrat-y. And even people like me who are, arguably have been Democrats for decades or are thinking about leaving the party because it's gotten to be too much like the Republican Party. The Democratic Party now is like the Reagan Republicans or the Clinton Democrats. And I think this victory in New York is just one of the signs, which hopefully the Democrats will read as writing on the wall. Zoran Mamdani is a Democratic socialist. He's a young man. He was endorsed by both AOC and Bernie Sanders. And now he'll face off against Eric Adams, a former cop who now calls himself an independent. But we know he is Geppetto to Donald Trump's puppet master. Why is that? Well, Trump kept him out of jail. And the Trump administration still holds the power to bring those charges back at any time. So he's basically a captive black man in America, captive of the MAGA cults, and he will run against this refreshing voice of youth and progressivism. So my guess is he'll probably win, and that will have a lot of a national impact in the United States because people are going to start, I hope they're going to start to reconsider young progressive candidates, people of color, people who have generally been left out of the conversation, so-called marginalized voices. And of course, Governor Cuomo had his own scandal. You could blame that. But I don't think that's it. He was well-funded. And Mamdani ran an unapologetically progressive campaign. He was very clear on what he stood for. And it's really interesting to me because he did face some criticism from some Jewish leaders. And you're talking about New York City, which has a huge Jewish community. And yet he won by a pretty commanding lead. So I'm reporting back on that as I stand in the streets out in the countryside in West Africa, Nigeria, because I want to help keep you in touch. I want to stay in touch to the best of my ability, the best of my Wi-Fi's ability. But I also want to let you know that my heart, my thoughts, my feelings, and my concerns are with you in the U.S. as I look from this side of the pond and say, as I know a lot of you are doing, could I live here? I also think it's worth noting that they did go low. Cuomo did run toward the end, especially a very negative campaign, but it was unsuccessful. And Cuomo has conceded. So this is a seismic change for New York City, and I hope it is a precursor of what's to come for the Democratic Party, what's to come for America, really, because I think, from my perspective, the thing that saves us from this MAGA agenda, this new Confederate white supremacist lie, is youth, energy, unapologetic progressivism, inclusion, and closing the wealth gap, not just for the descendants of enslaved persons, but for all of those people who are struggling in our country and haven't had a fair shot. Looking so forward to sharing this journey with you. We are on the road again in Nigeria, and as I said, you'll get a chance to hear now from one traveler who's on his second trip with us, and another who is on her very first trip, not just with African Focus and KBLA, but also to the motherland at all. Now, we're pretty early in our journey, but you're starting to see how people are being affected by this trip and why it's so important for all of us to be global citizens and world travelers. Join us on Instagram, KBLA 1580. I'm at DiPrima Radio. Miles is at Miles Zone Music. We're going live. We're sending pictures. and we're bringing you with us virtually on this journey to the motherland. I'm Dominique DiPrima, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Walk like you. Yeah.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
See website for details. Bills Happen is not a lender and does not make credit decisions. Hey, bills happen. So when you need extra cash fast, go to billshappen.com. Have you been turned down? Are your credit cards maxed out? Do you have bad credit? Go to billshappen.com. All you need is a job and a checking account. You can find a lender and get up to $5,000 cash as early as tomorrow at billshappen.com. Billshappen.com is the smart way to get a personal lender now. So if you need extra money for car repairs, medical bills, family emergencies, whatever you need cash for, go to billshappen.com and you can get the money you need as soon as the next day, up to $5,000. At billshappen.com, our process is safe, secure, and all online. No one to deal with in person, and Bills Happen does not charge you any fees to use our service. It's easy. When you need a lender, just remember, when bills happen, go to billshappen.com. billshappen.com for the cash you need now. billshappen.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Here with my friend Steve Belhumeur, who I've known forever and now has become one of our African Focus Trailblazers. I know we had been talking for years off and on, oh, maybe I'll come to Africa with you guys, maybe People always say that to me, Steve, but you actually did it. Woohoo!
Yes, glad I did.
So I always say one of the unexpected sort of outcomes of these trips has been the extended family that people get. Talk about this group and what it's like traveling with this group.
We have people from so many different backgrounds, professions, neighborhoods, just a lot of unique individuals, and it has been it's been great getting to meet all of these folks. I mean, again, 45, 50 this year, same last year. Enough people were here with me last year that I feel like I know a lot of folks, but still getting to meet new people. But talking to people about what they do, their hobbies and backgrounds, we just have a great group of folks, and there's always great conversations and backgrounds, and definitely is a family vibe and atmosphere. And so I really appreciate that about African Focus.
So you came with us last year to Kenya and Zanzibar. How was that? You're a man of faith. How was that for you?
They were both excellent. I really am partial to Zanzibar. That was my first time in a Muslim country. Being a new Muslim and being in that country was just amazing. Kenya was amazing for different reasons. I mean, but both of them, just the history, I would even say kind of the ancientness of them both was just overwhelming. Just to be part of communities and countries that have existed for centuries on centuries and have maintained history, to learn the lineages of kings and governments, and then their actions and impacts on America and other countries. Just overwhelming. Better than any book. I like to read. I favor history, but to actually be there, feet on the ground, is just is irreplaceable. I mean, I would tell anyone to get out of the books, get out of Netflix, actually go to the areas and experience it for yourself. There's nothing like it.
I think there's something really magical about the Muslim faith in Zanzibar too, just the way they practice. You wake up, you hear the call to prayer in the morning, and people are, beautifully dressed and so respectful, but also there's this live and let live vibe, which I think
absolutely
is pretty.
I think that shocked quite a few people also. And so, you get briefed, or if you do your homework about what's expected or what's preferred, you still come, you be yourself. There aren't people telling you to conform or to be Muslim or to be like us. I mean, there really is an atmosphere of be yourself, cause no harm, do no harm, but there is a freedom within that. And the fact that you could leave your wallet on the table and leave on the bus and go back in 5 hours and it'd still be there. And those type of things are different than anything we experience in America. So, and the call to prayer was amazing. You probably remember in our hotel, I believe there were 4 masjids in the area. And so when it was time for the call to prayer, you would hear like 4 call to prayers overlapping. And I was into that some of the people didn't know what was happening.
I find it
but
really
I loved it.
Beautiful.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, this is part of the culture. We're about to pray now.
Yes.
We're about to pray now. I cannot be mad at that, no matter what your faith.
Exactly.
How are you receiving Nigeria so far? It's only been a couple days.
So we're just getting here. I'm officially on the time zone, and so I feel good about that. But yesterday, experiencing our first real taste of the cultural vibes. The presentation last night was excellent. Going to the conservatory was excellent. Our first touch of some of the wildlife. I haven't been around monkeys like that before.
Yeah.
Never saw a monkey steal a coconut from a traveler before. And then to watch and have it just sit patiently at the table with us and eat. The bridge high in the heights was excellent. They tried to spook us a little bit, but if you had your bearings, it wasn't insurmountable. So that was great. So we're less than 48 hours on the ground, but my first impressions are excellent. Being welcomed constantly by local folks is very awesome. Just another reminder, just like last year, that these fake barriers about how Africans receive and perceive African Americans is just continues to not be true. I've only had positive experiences, even though we're in the tourism bubble. I really believe that the greetings and the welcomeness, I can feel the genuine nature, of those interactions, and so we're off to a good start.
I'm going to step out the tourism bubble tomorrow.
Yes.
And go to the wild west of the Lego swap meet. That should be interesting. But
looking forward to some shopping. They've got. I've came with some lists. People have placed orders now that they know I'm back. So.
What was the thing? I don't know if when you set out to come on the trip with us last year, if you said, I'm going to come back next year and the year after, or was that a surprise for you?
No. And I put my deposit down the day the announcement was made. I mean, I'm fully committed. If I have a couple coins, I'm going to always put my deposit down and figure out the rest later. So,
what was your why? I mean, what's the compelling reason for that?
Well,
because you had a lot going on. It's not like you have nothing to do in your life.
Yes, but I'm also at a point where I am prioritizing other parts of life. I mean, in the work that we do, you can give way too much without ever a break or a pause. And so I think these trips, I think what we're doing on these trips, because it certainly is not all shopping. I think it's a part of the work that we do, and for me, it informs some of the work that I have to do when I come back, and I am working while I'm here as well. But it gives a new perspective. But the why is, there was so much to absorb in East Africa that I couldn't see myself passing up a chance to go to West Africa, and you gave me some fear of missing out when you came from South Africa. so I'm going to hang around until we go back to South Africa. And if we ever do North Africa, that will be phenomenal. But there's so many different countries on the continent, so many tribes, so many cultures, that, until we start doubling up, I don't want to miss any of the new experiences if there's no reason not to miss it.
And then you brought last year your niece.
Yes,
my
new
new
travel partner.
She's back again too.
Absolutely, and she has loved it. And when she was younger, we spent a lot more time together. And as she's went through high school and college, there were years where we didn't see each other. So this has been a great opportunity to connect as adults. She makes her own priorities and preparations to be on this trip. This is not uncle funded. So being with her, getting her perspective, having private time, and then sneaking off to have conversations with her mom and her grandma and telling her what's happening is great as well. So they both appreciate it. But yeah, that's phenomenal. She's my global travel buddy for the time being.
So far, how have you surprised yourself? What have you been found to be most unexpected in this whole process?
Well, I honestly have not put any expectations on it. I blocked out the 14 days or so, with the travel. I'm really going with the flow. I really have not tried to put any expectations on it. I'm trying to absorb. I'm trying to wear, shoes that I can take my feet out and put them on the ground, and just be grounded. I want to experience everything that there is. We have parts of the trip that are perfect and others that we have to work through, changes that and pivots and timetables and long days and short days. I really have tried not to put any expectations on it. And so, the closest thing I could say is that in any area where I think I know anything, as we're taught more, I learn I know less than I thought I did. So that might that might be the only surprise, is that I thought I knew something about that, and then to find out I knew very little. So,
it's a big world, and there's so much to learn about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you think, how has your family reacted? There's, other than your niece, I mean, some people's families are really hesitant to have them rushing off to Africa.
I have gotten some of that, some concern. Everybody doesn't know how close some things are and how far apart some things are. So just to be over here doesn't mean that you're in the news story that people
Right.
that causes people concern. But my sister has expressed increasing interest on joining a trip. My mom is older, so we've got some birth certificate issues from Texarkana, California. If you know anybody who can help find a birth certificate, so she can get her passport. But I would love to take my mom on the trip if we could get her paperwork right. And so I would say more people wish that they could come than have told me they wish that I wouldn't go.
That's good. I think the attitudes are changing. When we used to come prior to the year of return, when all the celebs came, people used to really freak out. I think it is getting more normalized, right, to come. And we do see more people on these trips bringing their kids, bringing their moms, and like you, bringing your niece. For all of our activist friends and people that work in the political and activism spaces, what would you tell them about traveling to the motherland?
I think if you're involved in governments, you find benefit from seeing how other countries do things successfully or not successfully. I think if you're trying to understand cultural movements, there are lessons to be learned here. I think if you want to understand why things are the way they are, or why some things are not the way they should be, there are lessons to be learned here. I think there's so much, for example, for your Los Angeles audience, there's so much contained within Los Angeles that I know a lot of people don't leave Los Angeles. And to get out of that into this global setting just resets a lot of perceptions, understandings, and I think it can help anybody in our universe find new creative approaches to some of the problems that we're trying to solve. You remember last year in Kenya, there were riots in the federal government close to the area that we were.
By the parliament.
Right. And so that, was interesting because of all of the protests that we have so often in Los Angeles, and seeing, for example, they were fighting about taxes on bread and diapers and simple items. And so that's very helpful and informative in what we're doing right now, trying to deal with ICE and the National Guard and the Marines.
It's funny to me too, because everyone was like, "Are you okay?" Yeah. Well, it's contained to the parliament. It's just like watching LA now with the ICE protests. Oh, LA's on fire. No, it's not on fire. Right. There's a few protests downtown. No, Kenya wasn't on fire. There was a considerable protest, but they were all around the parliament. And so I find it's really, when I read the news, I read it differently because I've been to a place. I look at it differently. It's like I see and feel the people. It's not just a news story. It's a place with real people.
And the news is constantly getting harder to sort out fact from fiction.
Yeah, so that's true.
There's a lot of other interests involved in how you hook someone to stay into the news channel a little bit longer. And so, being out is, I've had the same conversations in Los Angeles, as I talk to people around the other country. It's this is in a very small area. And so, but seeing those struggles, all over the world, and being aware of that. And that's another, perspective that's come from being a Muslim, is paying attention to Muslim countries and other, global issues. And so seeing what people are fighting for, how they're fighting, how they strive for peace, how they fight for change. I mean, there's a lot of that to be learned on these trips, for sure.
Yeah, and at this point in history, watching what's going on back home, I think there's really something refreshing about being able to look at it from the other side of the world, looking in. Even though, of course, we'll go home and we'll resume whatever it is we're doing to make our country better or save our democracy or whatever we're doing. But there's something refreshing about seeing the U.S. is just one small part of a big globe rather than, the center of the universe.
Correct. And it's hard to get that understanding if you don't leave your city or your state.
Yeah.
So, for sure.
Well, thanks for stopping to talk, Steve, and
Thank you for
enjoy
having
the rest of the trip. I know I plan to.
Absolutely.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Andrew Cuomo is conceding the Democratic primary for New York City Mayor to Zohran Mamdani, though he may run as an independent.
Tonight was not our night. Tonight was Assemblyman Mamdani's night.
Ranked choice votes are still being counted. Meanwhile, Black Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg is projected to win, and Mark Levine leads for city comptroller. Black Maryland Governor Wes Moore has announced a hiring freeze and voluntary buyouts for state workers to help close a $3 billion budget gap. Moore says the state faces a historic fiscal crisis and blames federal policies for worsening the strain. And Kendrick Lamar and SZA's hit Luther has hit 1 billion streams on Spotify, his fastest track to do so, beating Not Like Us. It's Lamar's 11th song to reach the milestone, joining hits like Humble, Money Trees, and All the Stars. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NBA draft is tonight. The Dallas Mavericks have the number 1 pick, and they intend to use it to select Duke forward Cooper Flagg. Barring a last-minute trade today, the Lakers will be one of 9 teams without a first-round pick. They won't have a pick tonight until number 55 in the second round. The Clippers have the last pick in the first round at number 30. Live coverage of the draft begins at 5 p.m. on ABC and ESPN. The Angels beat Boston 3-2 in 10 innings. Rookie second baseman Christian Moore hit a game-tying homer in the 8th and a 2-run homer in the 10th to win it. The Dodgers held on for a 9-7 win at Colorado. Shohei Ohtani hit his 27th home run this season, a 2-run shot in the 6th inning. The LA Sparks continue to struggle. They lost their 4th straight game, a 97-86 loss to the Chicago Sky. The Sparks are 4-11 in the WNBA. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at quinemanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. Let's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
We are continuing to broadcast from West Africa, Nigeria to be exact, the most populous, meaning has more people than any other nation in all of Africa's 54 nations. And we are in the biggest of the big city, sitting in a beautiful spot right now. And one of our trailblazers is joining me. Introduce yourself to the KBLA delegation. Say who you are and why you decided to come on this trip.
Okay, well, my name is Cynthia McNairand, and I decided to come on the trip because I've always wanted to come to Africa, being born in the U.S. as a Black American and studying Black Studies at UC Riverside in the 80s. I just always wanted to come, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you decided to come with us. Cynthia, is anything that you visualized, learned, heard about, or thought about as a Black Studies person being illustrated so far on this trip?
That's a great question. That was many years ago when I studied Black Studies, so I'm trying to go back. But I'm noticing that there's a lot of similarities between people here in Nigeria and people in the U.S. I've lived in several different places in the United States, and I just see there's a lot of similarities.
Now, when you say similarities, you're talking about physical, you're talking about social, cultural, what are you observing?
All that. One in particular, CP time is very similar.
Yeah, we over here waiting right now.
And culturally, yes, we have, I don't know how to describe it. It's just something, and this is my first trip, let me explain that, to Africa with African Trailblazers. And I'm taking in a lot of things, the wind, the trees, the people walking down the streets with the head, the items on their head. Yeah, I read about that and I seen pictures of it, but it's like a natural thing for them.
I remember that struck me when I first came too, because I thought it was just like something you see from the old times, but people are walking around with stuff on their head all the time. It's not even unusual in the city, in the country, and some of them things are big and heavy too.
And their stature, when they walk without it, is very upright, and I love that. It's just very prominent.
Yes. We haven't been here too long, but what have you taken away so far? What have you enjoyed so far that you've seen, heard, experienced?
Well, I love the weather. It's similar to where I used to live in Savannah, Georgia. So I just love the humidity and the warmth.
It's funny because people always say, "Oh, it's going to be so hot," but it's really not that different from the U.S. At least that's what I find.
No, it's not. It's similar to Hawaii and southern states.
Yeah. Has anything surprised you so far?
Well, I haven't seen any mosquito bites. That's the only other thing.
Right, because we have all these
that.
stereotypes. Oh, it's going to be so hot. I'm going to be eaten alive by mosquitoes.
Yes.
I need 32,000 shots, and none of that turns out to be true.
Exactly.
You know, it kind of makes you wonder, why do we have these ideas about coming to Africa?
From what we hear and from what we don't research ourselves, probably.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't take the extra effort to find out what they can find out on their own. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think also since we started in a big city, Lagos, which is one of the biggest cities in the world, it's very different from what we're shown of Africa, right?
True. Yes.
What are you looking forward to?
Visiting the other two countries and experiencing the culture, the people, having some downtime to just do whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe take a long walk.
It's interesting too, because I think the other stereotype while we're on those things is that it's not safe to travel in Africa, that that you would be in fear walking around. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling safe. I'm feeling okay. I mean, before I came, my mom, who's 94 and still with us, and my children who are in their 40s all said, "Mommy, don't go anywhere by yourself. Don't." But I don't feel that fear. I don't know if it's because of the part of Lagos that we're in. You know, I've heard other trailblazers say, "Well, we're in a part of Lagos you don't have to worry about." But
yeah, we're in the fancy part for sure.
Okay.
But that's just like, to me, that's like LA. I always say that to trailblazers. If you wouldn't do it in Watts, don't do it in Lagos. Like, what are we talking about here?
And we appreciate you reminding us of that, because we forget.
The hood is the hood. If you wouldn't do it in the South Bronx, don't do it in the hood in Kenya. I mean, poor and desperate is poor and desperate. I think anywhere in the world. That's my belief. But yeah, we're over here in the bougie part of Lagos.
Yes.
We're not here to rough it.
No.
Although we will do some service, which, everybody brought stuff, and that's part of our process, is donating stuff to the kids. We're actually building a couple of water wells while we're here. Well, we're not building, we're
physically
financing other people to build them. So it's a combination of vacation and service and cultural enrichment, and hopefully that's the sweet spot.
Definitely.
What do you think of the nature conserve yesterday? All those monkeys.
It was nice to see that. It reminded me of Panama. I went to Panama a couple of years ago because I have a high school friend who's an expat. She moved from Chicago, because I grew up in Chicago, and she moved to Panama. And we went to a similar place where they had a lot of natural animals and plants. It reminded me of that. But I was thinking about it today earlier, that it wasn't as scary as they made us feel. Some people were more afraid of the canopy walk because they prepped us ahead of time that it would be, kind of hard to do if you're not used to doing something.
Describe what that is. What is a canopy walk?
It was a walk in the. I'm not description. It was like you're holding on to ropes and you're walking on a metal walkway that's completely secure, but it's going up into the sky several hundred kilometers or whatever is it. I don't know how many miles that equates to. And we went over, I think they said 7 bridges, and it was a lot of people doing it at one time, so it got a little rocky, but it was very secure and safe.
It was an adventure, and you
Yes.
completed it.
Yeah.
So good job. And your impressions or thoughts or takeaways from the museum, the National Museum of Lagos, where we saw art from so many different centuries all in one, place.
That was very nice and informative. It was a little bit hard for me to understand the guide that I was with. I mean, they had different
Same,
guides,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I just started to read what it said because reading is
Because they have
fundamental.
that accent. They got that accent. Some
Yes.
of them have a stronger accent where it's harder to understand. Yeah.
Yes, but it was very, very informative.
That's funny because we interviewed that man. He was very nice, but we're not playing it because we don't think anybody would understand it. So it's not just you.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't just you. He had a very thick accent. But
he was very serious in his conversation. He was very determined to help us understand what the museum was about.
Yeah, but of all those different art pieces and different styles of art, did anything speak to you?
I'm thinking of it now. I'm just thinking of the pictures of Queen Elizabeth and how they were taken, and the statue, how it was created. That was interesting, and the slave statue of an actual slave in chains around his, I think it was his mouth. And
Yeah,
his
it was
ankles.
going through his mouth.
Yeah, that was felt kind of surreal.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll ask you what message would you send, given what you've experienced so far to folks at home, whether it be your mom or whether it be just the community at large, our community back home.
I would suggest everyone do a little bit more research and maybe consider traveling outside of your box. Get out of Los Angeles or wherever you are, city you're in, and just not listen to what everybody says until you don't listen to other people's interpretation. Learn your own interpretation.
Yeah, it's a big wide world, and it's nice to know there's lots of places to go and lots of people who are happy to see you. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Thank you for stopping to talk.
Thank you.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Every mother deserves a healthy and joyous pregnancy and birth, and every baby deserves to thrive. That's why the Los Angeles County Abundant Birth Project is here. The Abundant Birth Project is a guaranteed income program that provides cash during pregnancy to pregnant individuals at the highest risk of preterm and low birth rate babies. Although program enrollment has closed, our commitment to Black joy and thriving continues. Through tailored services that foster mental well-being and community-based resources, we provide care and support during pregnancy and after the baby is born to help build brighter futures for our families. Join us in celebrating abundant births in LA County. For more information, please visit abundantbirthproject.org. abundantbirthproject.org.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Are you ready to play? Then jump into the LA 84 Foundation's Free Playday Block Party, a community celebration for all ages, including live music, dancing, LA's pro sports teams, great local food trucks, plus special giveaways for you to take home. Enjoy an exciting, fun-filled day for the entire family. Join us Saturday, June 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 2141 West Adams Boulevard. To register, go to la84.org. We'll see you Saturday, June 28th at LA 84 Foundation's Free Playday Block Party.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-433-8909. 800-433-8909. That's 800-433-8909. Or simply visit godra.com.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima from the show First Things First, weekday mornings from 6 to 9. Join me tomorrow with resources and solutions for Altadena with Danny Bakewell Jr., plus communication strategist extraordinaire Katrina Rosaina. We'll have headlines, hot topics, and your phone calls, of course. All that on KBLA Talk 1580.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. You're on the road with me. Don't forget to tap in on socials. We're at KBLA 1580 on all platforms. And yes, we're streaming. You won't see the video, but we're streaming audio on youtube.com at KBLA 1580. Also tap in with my Instagram. I even went live on TikTok last night. I don't know if anyone noticed, but keep your eyes open. DiPrima Radio is on the road in West Africa, and you never know where I might pop out and say a thing. Miles Lois here with me as well, and we're on the road now to the interior, to the country, to visit a museum and a site where our ancestors were enslaved here in the West African region of Nigeria, this Yoruba region. How you doing, Miles?
I'm doing good. I get to observe with my eyes today.
Yeah.
And the eyes are actually, I'm sorry, I observe with all my senses today. You know what I mean? Rolling around through the countryside of Nigeria. We got the windows down in the bus, y'all. We getting the full essence of Nigeria.
Yeah, our air conditioning went out.
Right.
That's crazy.
Look, we're getting the sounds of Nigeria, the smell of Nigeria, the wind of Nigeria, the sunlight of Nigeria.
Don't forget the taste. Whole buffet last night.
We had that buffet last night, man. Like, look, I'm enjoying the hell out of myself. And just like I said, taking in everything I'm seeing on this drive over. From the way. How you doing, little buddy? The way that people are, the children.
Kids are so friendly here.
Kids
they
love
to
it.
Say hi. They want to take a picture with you.
And the kids are nicer than adults everywhere. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm noticing that. So seeing the parallels of the kids, seeing little things like, I was following the advertisements and the commercials and, the billboards and the way these American companies are advertising their products in Africa completely differently than they are in America.
We were talking about that on the way over. Suddenly they have all black models.
Right.
Which shows you that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Shows you that they know with us they can get away with not showing us.
Right. Seeing that, talking with our main man Uchenna, just as we go through some of the markets, just what's the strategy of making it out of being somewhere like you are in the market? You know what I mean? Of going from being just a hustler of whatever you can get your hands on, selling waters in traffic, selling T-shirts at a shop, to how do you get up to where, you can grow and become whatever you want to become. And he was saying, it's all about really, we'll walk around. Okay.
Yeah.
It's really all about, strategy.
I mean, I think that's true to an extent. He also, Uchenna, of course, is the one of the founders with his wife Emily and our friend Paul Babatunde of African Focus. But he comes from a middle class family and he's well educated.
Right, and that's he said that too. Like, you have an education, but that also goes to show some people are just I hate to say meant for certain stuff, but they're you know what I mean? When you're born in these certain situations, that's all you know at a certain
extent. I'm not going to say, I won't sign off on meant, but I'll sign off on the fact that the global capitalist system disadvantages some people and advantages others. And most of the time when we hear these stories about sudden riches, you dig a little deeper in the tale, there was an emerald mine or there was an inheritance of some kind. And I'm not saying that to belittle people who work hard and make it. I'm saying that so we don't demonize people that are struggling, because as we drove through the countryside, we saw a kind of poverty that does exist in the American South, but it's rare for those of us who live in the cities to see that level of poverty, even among the unhoused.
Yeah, burning trash, real shantytown type stuff. But man,
you were talking about the knockoff game, and that's the same thing you were talking about in Kenya, which is funny to me because I don't know if I would have even noticed that. That's probably a generational observation, right?
Yeah, the drip, the knockoff drip is sensationally put together out here, y'all. So look, everybody's got an auntie or somebody that's pushing fake purses or fake jeans or fake Gucci shirts. I'm telling you, they are putting it together like stitched leather out here in Nigeria, y'all. The fashion sense, we can see what it is, but the fashion sense and the style of putting it together, I really like that. From the bottom to the top, literally from the bottom to the top. From the fancy hotel people that we've seen to people mobbing around selling out of the, on the corners. So.
Right, and today we actually had trouble getting out of the hotel because the governor was having a party. And it was just, there were police, there were military, there were blockades and checkpoints as the kids walk by. We're out here on the road. And it's interesting to see. This is the same realization I had in Ghana, where you look around and it's like, oh yeah, all the police are black.
Right.
Every cop, every constable, every
construction worker, every airport staff, every hotel staff, every professional for sure is black out here. And we were talking about too, like having that sense of being the majority and growing up in that. You'll never be able to take that away from a young black child's mind, that there's a possibility of being the minority, being in charge, having some sort of power,
Yeah, well, they're not the minority, they are the majority. And we were talking about that in relation to what you were saying regarding those ads, because every billboard, every commercial, even if they're pushing lighten your skin or wear a wig, they're still black models, black spokespersons. And so it's clear that when you grow up, hello, little kids going by. When you grow up and you're in a country where you are the majority, you're going to expect to be represented. It's not going to be a privilege. For us as Black Americans, even though it's gotten much better, we still are delighted when we're represented. We think it's a privilege or something special rather than that's how it should be.
Right. And we're a lot, and that's tough. I just say it like that, that we've been built to be able to take those little nuggets and make them bigger than they really should be in the grand scheme of things.
Right. Look, we got a thing.
Right.
We
Not
have
crumbs,
somebody
y'all.
on something. Look, there's representation.
Right.
As opposed to being the everything.
Right.
And I'm not saying that because I don't want other people to be included. I'm just saying there's something profound about not being underrepresented or being a so-called minority. There's something profound about that.
And also, because this is a completely black country, every other competition is black as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like we need to search for the black owned one. It's like, everything we're going to do is going to be for us. And you're actually selling out, going to the big man for sure. You know what I mean? It's not like you're in a food desert. It's where you're surrounded by black people selling the stuff that you need. And you're choosing to walk past 1,000 of them to go to Target. Sorry, who said the name?
Pinkberry or
Pinkberry,
whatever.
yeah,
which they do have.
Stuff.
But here's the thing, though. It's that there's something really enlightening about that too, because now you're looking for the best one, because they're all black owned, unless you, like you said, unless you sell out to the man.
And then it's also
man.
for the merchants to treat you better, so they can get a repeat customer who actually comes back and values you because you're more than the other person who's selling the exact same thing you're selling.
Yeah. Lots of lessons to be learned in unexpected places and lots of fun to be had. I hope you'll join us one day. Right now, you're joining us virtually as a little boy plays with a goat behind you. Not a video game, but a goat. I'm Dominique DiPrima. That's Miles Lowe, and we're on the road in Nigeria for KBLA Talk 1580.
Gracias.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Andrew Cuomo is conceding the Democratic primary for New York City Mayor to Zohran Mamdani, though he may run as an independent.
Tonight was not our night. Tonight was Assemblyman Mamdani's night.
Ranked choice votes are still being counted. Meanwhile, Black Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg is projected to win, and Mark Levine leads for city comptroller. Black Maryland Governor Wes Moore has announced a hiring